Employer withheld my last paycheck after I quit. How can I get my money? I remember the day I got the job offer like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my tiny one-bedroom apartment in Mumbai, scrolling through job listings on my beat-up laptop. My phone buzzed, and I saw it was an email from this startup I had interviewed with a week ago. My heart skipped a beat as I opened it. Dear Rahul, we are pleased to offer you the position of marketing manager at XYZ Corp. I almost fell off my chair. I had been job hunting for months, and this was the breakthrough I desperately needed. The salary was decent, and the office was just a short train ride away. I called my best friend Priya to share the good news. Priya, guess what? I got the job at XYZ Corp, I exclaimed. Rahul, that's amazing. We need to celebrate, she replied, her voice brimming with excitement. I started the job the following Monday, eager to prove myself. The CEO, Mr. Arvind Mehta, seemed like a decent guy during the interview. He was charming, articulate, and had a vision for the company that I found inspiring. Little did I know that this man would soon become the source of my worst professional nightmare. The first few weeks at XYZ Corp were a dream. The team was young, energetic, and full of ideas. I quickly bonded with my colleagues, especially Kavita and Rajesh. We would often stay late at the office, brainstorming marketing strategies and planning campaigns. The camaraderie was palpable, and I felt like I had finally found my place. One evening, after a particularly grueling brainstorming session, we decided to grab drinks at a nearby bar. Over beers and samosas, we laughed, shared stories, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of belonging. Rahul, you've got some killer ideas, Kavita said, raising her glass. Here's to many more successful campaigns. Cheers to that, Rajesh added, clinking his glass with ours. Things were going great until they weren't. About 3 months into the job, I started noticing some red flags. Mr. Mehta's charming facade began to crack. He became more demanding, often changing project scopes at the last minute, and expecting us to work weekends without any additional compensation. The atmosphere in the office grew tense, and the long hours started taking a toll on my mental health. One Friday evening, after a particularly exhausting week, I was called into Mr. Mehta's office. He was sitting behind his mahogany desk, looking as smug as ever. Rahul, we need to talk, he began, not bothering to look up from his computer. Yes, sir, I replied, trying to hide my annoyance. I've noticed your performance has been slipping lately. You need to step it up if you want to stay here. I was taken aback. I had been busting my ass for this company, often putting in 60-hour weeks, and this was the thanks I got? With all due respect, sir, I've been working extremely hard. The entire team has. Maybe if we had more resources or clearer directives, we could perform better, I retorted, my frustration bubbling over. Mr. Mehta's face turned red. Are you questioning my leadership, Rahul? Remember, you are easily replaceable. That was the breaking point. I couldn't take it anymore. The stress, the lack of appreciation, the toxic environment. It was too much. I decided then and there that I was done. I'm sorry, but I can't work under these conditions anymore. I quit, I said, my voice shaking. Mr. Mehta didn't even flinch. Fine. Leave your resignation letter on my desk by the end of the day. I felt a strange mix of relief and anxiety as I packed up my things and said my goodbyes to my colleagues. Priya was the first person I called after leaving the office. Priya, I did it. I quit, I said, my voice trembling. Rahul, are you okay? What happened? She asked, concerned. I recounted the whole ordeal to her, and she was supportive as always. You did the right thing, Rahul. No job is worth your mental health. We'll figure something out. 2 weeks later, I was expecting my final paycheck. I checked my bank account every day, but it never came. I decided to email HR, thinking it might just be a delay. Dear HR, I haven't received my final paycheck yet. Can you please look into this? Regards, Rahul. The response came swiftly, but was far from what I expected. Dear Rahul, as per Mr. Mehta, you are not entitled to your final paycheck due to unsatisfactory performance and unapproved leave days. I was livid. This was complete bullshit. I had never taken a single unapproved leave day, and my performance was always above average. I decided to confront Mr. Mehta directly. "Mr. Mehta, this is unacceptable. You can't withhold my paycheck," I said, trying to keep my cool. "Rahul, you left us in a lurch. Consider it a penalty for your unprofessional behavior," he replied, his tone icy. I felt like punching him right then and there, but knew it would only make things worse. I stormed out of his office, determined to get my hard-earned money. I spent the next few days researching my legal options. I spoke to a labor lawyer, Mr. Gupta, who assured me that I had a strong case. "Rahul, under Indian labor laws, an employer cannot withhold an employee's paycheck without a valid reason. We can file a complaint with the labor commissioner," he explained. With Mr. Gupta's guidance, I filed a formal complaint. The process was slow and frustrating, but I was determined to see it through. In the meantime, I took up a freelance gig to keep myself afloat. The hearing date finally arrived. I was nervous, but ready to fight for what was rightfully mine. Mr. Mehta, of course, showed up with his high-priced lawyer, trying to intimidate me. The labor commissioner listened to both sides carefully. Mr. Mehta's lawyer tried to paint me as an irresponsible employee, but I had all the evidence to prove otherwise: emails, timesheets, and even testimonies from my colleagues. After what felt like an eternity, the commissioner finally made his decision. Based on the evidence presented, it is clear that Mr. Rahul is entitled to his final paycheck. XYZ Corp. is hereby ordered to pay the amount within 7 days. I couldn't believe it. I had won. I thanked Mr. Gupta profusely and left the office, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. A week later, the money was finally in my account. I felt a sense of justice and relief wash over me. I called Priya to share the good news. "Priya, I got my money! We did it!" I exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down my face. "Rahul, I'm so proud of you. You stood up for yourself and won. Let's celebrate tonight," she replied, her voice filled with pride. As I hung up, I realized this whole ordeal had taught me an invaluable lesson. Never let anyone take advantage of you, and always stand up for what's right, no matter how tough the fight may seem. And that, my friends, is the story of how I got my money back from my shitty ex-employer. If you're ever in a similar situation, don't give up. Fight for what you deserve.